time. Before I ever tamped my first espresso or poured my first milk beverage, I loved playing with Lego blocks. As I played with these blocks, I learned to assemble them in new ways. And over my years as a barista, I've shared experiences with baristas, producers, and consumers. These experiences have inspired me to build new creations, just like those Lego blocks, and share them with others. Now, throughout our time today, I'll be sharing the building blocks that will make our experience possible, from ingredients to techniques to even coffees. As we move between courses and coffee information, I provided some menus for your reference. I'll give you plenty of time for all of your evaluations. Let's begin. This past year, I was able to connect with 2 producers from 2 different origins. Both of these producers create incredible coffees, growing high-quality varieties in amazing terroir, and processing using innovative techniques. Now, the first coffee is an Ethiopian landrace variety called Obligon, grown by Nestor Lasso at his farm El Diviso in Huila, Colombia. Yep. Now at El Diviso, Nestor uses a natural yeast inoculation process to create fruity flavors in this coffee, followed by a thermal shock to create floral flavors from the Ethiopian genetics. This processing creates flavors of cherry and rose in the Obligon. And it's these flavors that have inspired me to use this coffee as a building block for your milk and signature courses. Now my second coffee comes from Finca Debra, a green tip geisha grown by Jamison Savage at 1,900 meters above sea level in Volcan, Panama. Now this farm is home to some of the best terroir for geisha, and Jamison processes this coffee using a hybrid method, beginning with a natural process, yeast inoculation, finishing with a washed process to create an elegant tactile experience that is juicy, with flavors of citrus, These 2 coffees will be the building blocks of our experience today. We'll begin with the El Diviso for your milk and signature courses. Then for your espresso course, we'll join both the El Diviso and the Finca Debra together today as building blocks for your espresso experience. Now for your milk course, I wanted to create a blend of milk that would allow me to harmonize with the El Diviso. So to do so, I started with the building blocks of 60% full cream dairy for rich sweetness, 20% cashew milk for a pleasant complexity, and 20% pistachio milk for creaminess. I call this blend of milk super milk. Then, using a tool called the Rotovap, I was able to caramelize the sugars in this milk. This tool allows me to caramelize the sugars at 150 RPM under vacuum pressure, making my milk sweeter, creamier, and smoother. Now today, I'll be brewing the Obligon with a recipe of 20 grams in and 30 grams out, pairing these extractions with 50 grams of my super milk for your milk course today. Now for your milk beverages, I ask that you perform your visual assessments once I serve your beverages, but please wait to taste. I'll be stirring your beverages for you. Now, in your milk course, with the building blocks of Nestor's coffee and my super milk blend, you can expect to find flavors of, if you'll please write these down, raspberry, malted chocolate, marzipan, and vanilla. So sweet. Now, in order to bring out the most vibrancy and clarity from my ombligan, I roasted this coffee on a stronghold roaster, achieving a high rate of rise and expansion at first crack, for a total roast time of 9 minutes and 15% development. This roasting approach gives my ombligan the building blocks of sweetness, acidity, and texture in order to create a harmonious experience with my super milk blend. Sweet. Good. Hey, that's great. So, now, as I come around to stir your milk beverages, I ask that you reflect upon the building blocks that make this milk beverage experience possible, from Nestor's ombligan to my super milk blend, to create a dessert-like milk beverage for us to begin and build our experience today. Please enjoy your milk beverages. Now, as we begin our signature course, I ask that you please write down the flavor descriptors for me. In your signature beverage, you're going to experience blood orange, apricot, and orange blossom. Now, for my signature beverage, I want to use the ingredients as building blocks that transforms Nestor's coffee and create something new, just like those Lego blocks. Now, the building blocks of this course are sweetness, acidity, and complexity. Now, for sweetness, my first ingredient, I'm using 20 grams of a jasmine nectar that I made with 2 grams jasmine blossoms and 18 grams of a 1-to-1 fructose sugar. I chose fructose for its bright sweetness to lift the fruit flavors of the ombligan. The addition of jasmine in this ingredient transforms the rose florals in the ombligan to create a new flavor of blood orange. My second ingredient for balancing acidity is 10 grams of a cold brewed hibiscus, brewed at a 1-to-10 ratio for 12 hours. Now, this ingredient has phosphoric acidity, transforming the complex acidity in the ombligan, and combined with the cherry in the ombligan, creates a new flavor of apricot. Now, my last and favorite ingredient for complexity, this is 10 grams of a distillation. Now, using 2 grams each of bergamot, allspice, and vanilla, and 100 grams of water, I use the roundabout to create this clear aromatic liquid. I chose these ingredients because to me, these are ingredients that represent the flavors of coffees of Ethiopia. And I was inspired by how Nestor was able to transform the landrace genetics in his coffee. And just by doing so, I'm able to add complexity and transform this beverage, creating my favorite flavor of orange blossom in the aftertaste. Now finally, 2 extractions of the obligan, this time brewed at a 1:2 ratio for balance with the other ingredients. Now to create texture, I'll be using a low RPM immersion blender from KitchenAid, and this will create a silky texture for your beverages. Now, I'll ask you please take a sip of water from your glasses to cleanse your palates. Now, I'm serving you this beverage at room temperature, which is where I found the best tactile and taste experience. And I'm also serving you this beverage in these vessels with 2 different lip thicknesses, where you'll experience all of the best tactile and taste experience by please only drinking on the pink side today. Now, for your evaluations, you may take as many sips as you'd like. This signature course is a product of building blocks from experiences to ingredients, and I am so excited to get to share it with you today. Please enjoy. Now, as I welcome you back for a 3rd time, I'm excited to tell you about your espresso course. When I first tasted the El Diviso and Finca Deborah on their own, they're both incredible expressions of variety, processing, and terroir. But like my signature beverage, I wondered if I could use these coffees as building blocks to create something greater than the sum of their parts. Now, in these portafilters, I've dosed 15 grams of the El Diviso and 15 grams of the Finca Deborah in order to create something greater than the sum of their parts for an espresso experience that wouldn't be possible with either one of these coffees alone. Now, as I place your espressos in front of you, please perform your visual assessments only, but wait to taste until after I've called time. Good. This one's for you. This one's for you. No. This one's for you. Okay. Now today, you'll experience the flavors of El Diviso and Finca Deborah in harmony together, with flavors of cherry, orange, and raspberry. There is a medium weight, a juicy texture, and a long finish. Now, as we come to an end on our time today, I ask you to reflect on the building blocks that have made this experience possible, but also the building blocks that have brought you and I together to this stage, where one of those building blocks might have been an experience just like this one, a passionate barista creating something new with coffee and sharing it with others that, just like those Lego blocks, has inspired you to build something yourself today. Time.
Give it up, Cheon. Dune Coffee, Santa Barbara, California. What's up, man?
Something.
Yeah, feel that. Feel that. Yeah. Keep that going. Yeah. We're talking about a finalist here. So I was back there. I was trying to figure out how long you've been competing. How long has it been?
This is my 6th year.
6th year. And finals, how many times?
This is my 4th time.
4th time. How does this compare to the other 3?
That's a good question. I think the momentum, the occasion of being in finals is so, it's such an honor to be up here. The competition is so strong. I think the chance to be on stage and to get to share what we've worked on for so long, for a second time this weekend is such a treat. And to get to do that, make this coffee again, share the work of Nestor and Jamison it's an amazing feeling.
If there was one industry other than coffee that you would work in, what would it be?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a pilot. So hopefully, that would be where I would go.
Yeah. And is there someone or something that has over the years influenced your mindset?
Can you be more specific? In what way? A lot of people.
A lot of people?
Yeah.
Is there anyone that stands out amongst all those people that has really influenced who Cheon is?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think coffee may feel like something that's so small. We are such a small, especially coffee within the larger scope of the industry is so small. And I think getting to draw inspiration from so many different facets of our industry, but also other industries, cultures, it's, that's what I try and bring to myself in order to grow and to bring that back to our community.
Well, I have some other people who are interested in asking you questions and possibly trying out your coffee.
Oh, I've heard. I'm excited.
Yeah. So let's head back over to the station here.
Please.
Looks like we're bringing up our current champ, Frank La.
I'm particularly excited to share this coffee with Frank for certain reasons.
Why would you be so excited?
I'm excited about trying this coffee too. Frank, do you have any questions for Kay?
How is your hair always perfect?
I have a really great barber who understands the competition haircut. So as late as we can leave it, he cuts my hair right before.
I hear you wake up with the just perfect already. That's the rumor floating around.
Rumors are deceiving.
No, on a serious note, I think for me, it's been a pleasure to watch you compete over the years. During my 9-year break, seeing you compete and seeing you do well was a huge inspiration for me to be a part of this again. And I'm curious how this year's journey was different for you. I know part of it involved roasting.
Mm-hmm.
How was that experience for you this year?
Yeah, I think on the roasting side, that was definitely one area that was really fun for me this year. I've roasted some coffees that I've competed with in the past, but nothing to the scale. All the coffees that I served were roasted by me, which, really feels special. I think the journey itself, it always feels different. I think if competing always felt the same, it would, why bother doing it? If you're just doing the same thing over and over again. I think this year, together with a team, we intentionally did a lot of things differently. And, at times that was kind of scary. We were in uncharted territory, but we also had to trust that the work that we had done in years past to get us to this point would pay off. And, from where I'm sitting, I think it did.
Yeah, I was on your panel in qualifiers, which was really special.
It was a treat. Yeah,
it was really special, and I left it, and I felt like I had just been to the spa, and even sitting in the audience again, like having that feeling of just like calmness throughout every single element of this is just so incredible. What I'm most curious about actually is your kind of how you landed on your milk course recipe. I remember, I feel like I always associate with you like really interesting milk course options. Like last year you used a milk with koji in it. Yep. And so what was kind of the process this year?
This is a behind the scenes look into my preparation, but I think for milk, it always feels like the most applicable course to our larger industry. We see cafes that are serving pre-distilled milk, and I think by and large, considering the drinks that consumers enjoy, milk is such a way to take the technological or, just beverage advancements from this stage directly to the consumer. So I always like to start there. I think it kind of helps me think about my scope and the concept of my preparation, for the presentation. And, I think a lot of competitors, we always try everything and anything that we can. And I think over time, you also start to learn, what will work best for your coffee. And this milk, it's a kind of a strange milk. It doesn't work for every coffee, but for this coffee, it just is amazing.
It's awesome.
I'm so excited to get to taste this coffee.
So where's Michael? This is by no means to disrespect, but I made Michael a promise
Please,
that we
please.
have to taste this. I got some more coming.
So layering this coffee.
Mhm.
Walk us through that. Why did you choose to layer? Did you practice with it blended? Did you not have success with that? What was the mental pathway for that?
Yeah, it is. I think thinking about what could happen in different ways of combining these two coffees, I think combining the coffees was also an area of, I would say, growth for myself. It was a little bit scary to think about and how we would approach these two coffees coming together, how much of the variability we need to think about for competing and, where is that, kind of sweet spot going to be? And for this coffee, it, came together fairly well. Again, like the milk course, we tried everything. And, this was always what we liked best, which I think once you have that, it just feels good.
I'm excited. Y'all in the audience don't know this, but I ask Kay every year what coffee he's using, and he never tells me ever. Is that you'll find out on stage. Come on. Little
Again,
gamesmanship. It's incredible. I love it.
You're
it's
making
fantastic.
me out to be rude.
No. I love that people give me a hard time. A lot of people do here at Black and White, but it feels very natural. I've always really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So-
I would say this year, especially, thinking about, we tasted so many different coffees, and I think that's part of the process. You taste, milk options, you taste coffee options, and there's so many incredible coffees that, are still on the table that I wish I could have served. But, when we tasted these two coffees, they felt right for this presentation in more ways than one.
Yeah, these two coffees are not strangers to the stage.
No.
Definitely the world stage, for sure. This last year, I think Jameson's coffee is first, second, and third for Espresso course. So you're going to hear this name again, Jameson Savage. He does pretty great coffees. Two competitors in a row with Jameson's coffee, at least in portions.
Yeah, so this was this particular coffee, it was a bit of I wouldn't say a risk, but it was a coffee that we chose because it worked well with the Omligant. I think on its own, I might have gone with a different coffee from Jameson. All of his coffees are so phenomenal. But, I think in thinking about how we wanted the coffees to come together, we had to approach them like components of a blend, like the building blocks. And that's what tasted the best.
It's like that's your theme.
Yeah.
I was just gonna
Legos.
ask, real fast. 'Cause sometimes the audience doesn't get to see all the fun little like gadgets and doodads and fun like tech stuff that we do. Yeah, I was gonna say, tell us about the tool you have up here. This is like a new fun, cool thing.
Yeah. I'm so glad there wasn't coffee on it. So this is a tool that I am really fortunate to get to use on stage, and it's from the Nucleus team, who has been at the forefront of so many different advancements and competition as well as coffee. So this is kind of an update. The way that I like to think about it is that it's an update on the traditional NCD, but it incorporates vibrating pulse technology. So you can have a lower or higher setting, and then when you pick it up, it automatically comes up and gently vibrates your portafilter. So helps with some density. We found some great improvements from what we were tasting.
Yeah, from the stage. That idea came from the stage.
Exactly. Yep.
2 years ago.
Vibrating table.
What's your process in developing a signature drink, and how often does it not work?
Well, the fact that I served this beverage means that everything before this didn't work.
Do you dream of a Sig Bev, or do you come up with flavors based on the espresso? How does that work? What's your thought process?
You know, I drive myself crazy sometimes. You know, there are always those ideas that you have, you know, laying in bed late at night. Where like, oh, I wonder if I tried this, this would do the thing that I want from the coffee. And then you go in the next morning and try it, and it doesn't work.
It's
So gross.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Right. So I think the signature beverage, you know, it's such an evolution of what you think you're gonna do, and then where you get to is fun. It is a little bit painful at times, but it's always worth it.
The coffee is incredible.
It's ridiculous.
I can pull more. I mean, I got some more cups.
I'm like, no.
Yeah. I have two questions. One is personally for me, when I compete, one of the things that I focus on is just repeating my routine over and over again. I try to do 100 routines before I get onto the final stage or the national stage. Is that something that you also adhere to? Something that, because one of the things that always stands out about your performances is that you're very meticulous. Like your movements are surgical. And so my question first with that is, do you just put in a ton of practice in terms of doing your routines over and over again? Or is it something that just comes more naturally to you?
I definitely wouldn't say it comes naturally. You know, I think, again, you know, I feel grateful that I've gotten the chance to compete, you know, multiple years. And I think every single year that I compete, I think about what I can be doing better, you know, for next year, just for me to, you know, be a better coffee professional. And I think a lot of that has come with, you know, really being critical of everything that can happen on the stage. So I'm also thankful that, you know, I have a really, you know, experienced and wonderful team that is able to help me with those motions and, you know, make all of those things happen much quicker than I could just on my own.
And that's kind of leading to my second question is, we know that the Dune team is very legendary. Like your practices, always dialed in. Could you tell me a little bit more about like what each team member, what you rely on them doing? Because I'm sure they have, you know, different responsibilities.
You know, it's funny. I think in the past, so I feel really fortunate, you know, the Dune team, all of us have competed and judged, which is such an asset. I think the other, you know, to answer your question, in the past, we've kind of thought about, oh, you know, we'll divvy up these responsibilities in this way. And really at this point, you know, we've worked together for so long and we all have, you know, an individual skill set that we can kind of plug and play anything, which is really incredible. You know, it's not like one person is always setting up the card or one person is always helping with script. It's, we all can contribute, which feels really special to me.
Hey, you did it.
I don't have any more milk. Sorry.
This coffee is crazy. I wish all of you could taste it. They're really good.
So how many years is this?
This is my sixth.
Sixth year. How many finals does this make?
This is fourth.
Fourth. Right on. Wow. I didn't have that luxury.
Do you feel? Does the stress ramp up for you in each round, or does it feel? What's kind of the process? How does this feel today versus yesterday?
Yeah, it's a question that I think I always have an answer to until the evening before finals. You know, you're kind of like, oh, I've got a handle on my emotions, or I know what I'm going to expect, and then it's completely different. It feels like that every time, right? I would say, I don't know that I would necessarily characterize it as stress. You know, I think it's in some ways just excitement. You know, getting to, obviously you feel a little bit of the pressure of being in finals and you want to do your best. And that's kind of where I think, you know, again, I wouldn't characterize it as stress. It's almost like a swell of excitement.
Momentum.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Super cool.
Your very first competition.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the feeling going into that competition?
Vividly.
Can you describe some of that for me?
I often look back on that first year that I competed, and I think that really I think in a lot of ways it set me up to enjoy competition as much as I do today, because like today, I entered into that competition without any expectations of results or what would happen, you know, when the rankings came out. It was my participation in that competition was driven by a desire to grow as an individual, to take as much learning as I could, to meet, so many other people in the community. And that was really the only, desire for me to compete. And, in that first year that I competed, and the results were pretty good, for my first year. And I think I saw, rather than focusing on the results, I saw the value that approach had for myself. And that's kind of how I've chosen to lead all of my participation in competition, whether there or not.
What kind of advice would you give a new time competitor?
I'm the most nervous for this because my mom doesn't really drink it. So. I think there's so much advice for newer competitors. I think it's really important that you find a team, that newer competitors find people to support them. And the really wonderful thing is that there are so many people willing to support and excited to do so. I think if you feel like you have to go it alone, you probably will. And that's not a great feeling for yourself. And you probably won't have the success that you're hoping to, or what you're hoping to get out of competing is not going to happen by yourself. So I think, finding people that can support you, I think, being open to new experiences throughout whatever competition looks like for you. And, I always like to say that, if your only desire from competition is to win, most likely you will not be fulfilled. So you've got to find something else that, brings you back to competition, because if all you want to do is win, you probably won't be very happy.
Yeah, I always tell people I won once, but I lost 7 times.
Yeah.
And that journey is what I remember most. So yeah, regardless of what happens today, I'm super stoked to see you on stage and what you present to the judges and to the spectators. I commend you because you really execute well.
Thank you, Lim. I mean, I've said this before, but it feels so special to be here, in the Black and White HQ. And, of course, we all know the history of this building and how that has been influenced by Barista competition. And I think getting to be a part of that history is really special.
Yeah, and Reg Barber's here. Reg Barber's here, and he brought some trophies. So for all of you who don't know, Reg Barber, he invented the evolution of the tamper, and he started making trophies for nationals and worlds. And we lost some of that when I guess SCA kind of merged COVID, but he's back and he's made some trophies. So
yeah, it's good to see him back.
Yeah. So yeah. Slayer paid for those. Oh, awesome! Shout out to Slayer. So it's good to see us returning to like that essence of the coffee community and being a part of that. It's great seeing you on stage.
And then for me, my last question is, what would it mean to you to become the U.S. Barista champion? And then follow up to that is, how important is it to win the Worlds if you did win U.S.?
Heavy hitter.
That's a good question.
Big last question.
Frank's laughing. He's like, I got him.
Yeah.
I've thought about this question a lot, and there's so many things that I would want to respond to this. I think from this particular year, the way that I've tried to approach this year, obviously, the goal is always finals. The goal is always to do as best as we can. I think this particular year, we really set out to, I guess the best way to put it is, to leave it all out on stage, to go in with our best approach, to do the best we can, to have the most fun, to learn as much as we can. And I think along the way, what that ends up doing is that you sort of, you practice like a champion, you perform like a champion, you do all these things that, not necessarily hopefully, but have already kind of given you the benefits of competing at that high level. And I would say, that's kind of my answer to the national champion one. I think I feel so happy with everything that we've done, all the work that's gone into it, and the results will be what they are. And I think that's also how I would approach Worlds. It would be, I had a chance to go to WBC in 23, and seeing all of these people, national champions from every country, it's such an amazing feeling I think especially if you were representing the United States at that competition. But I think the approach would be the same, where you go into that competition, you try and learn as much as you can, you get the best out of yourself, and you can't do much more than that.
Agreed.
Also, there is a current tradition that the winner takes the previous winner to the world. So let's keep the tradition going, okay?
Frank wants to go to Milan.
I just want to go to.
This is such an honor. Thank you for your time. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing
it's all
with
mine.
us. Thank you for coming to our building and putting together something so amazing.
Thank you for bringing this table. I'm really excited that I got to share coffee in this way. It's always something I've looked forward to, and hope that I would get to do one day at US or at Worlds. Getting to have such fine folks like you at the table and share coffee with you. So thank you for the opportunity.
One more time. You're okay.